Hi everyone, and welcome to the Birds of a Feather training room. Thanks for joining us today for our session on Trimesh Basics. We'll have a look at our agenda for Trimesh Basics, and for the benefit of those who are completely new to Trimeshes, I'll begin by explaining what a Trimesh is. We'll have a look at some examples of Trimesh objects. Then we'll go into 12D model and look at some of the more common Trimesh creation methods. Finally, we'll briefly explore some other Trimesh options such as reporting, editing, contouring, exploding and generating tins. My name is Ben Crawford. I have a civil design background and over 15 years 12D model experience. I was born and raised in Queensland, but now I live in Western Canada where I take care of 12D model sales, training and support. My role includes introducing 12D model to brand new users who've never seen it before, supporting existing customers and training new users. So what is a Trimesh? A Trimesh is a 3D object consisting of a network of 3D triangles. Similar to a tin, however, a Trimesh can have vertical sides, a top and a bottom, and it can fold under itself. Trimesh can be displayed as a wireframe or as a shaded object with texture mapping. Here's a project screenshot with some different Trimesh objects displayed. So going from left to right, we have utility trench, some buried lighting cable, a grass verge, road pavement and line marking, some guardrail and a footpath. All of these objects are 3D Trimeshes. So let's have a look at 12D model and creating some basic Trimesh objects.
Alright, let's have a look at some basic commands for creating Trimesh objects. Thought a fun way to do that would be to create a Trimesh of a Canada Post mailbox. So we'll just begin with create from polygon option. And you can see over in the left view, I've got a series of polygons. They are all drawn around 0, 0, and they represent the parts of my mailbox. So we'll begin with the base slab or the concrete slab. So there's my slab poly, I'll select that, and I'll get the name of the Trimesh I'm creating from that polygon as well. We'll put everything into mesh mailbox model. Okay, so because this is concrete, we'll select a Viz concrete color. No offset required for the Z, and we want a 125 thick slab. Okay, so we'll generate that, add it to the view for our perspective view, add the model. We'll keep on building our mailbox. So next up will be the base plate. And again, I'll select the polygon to get the name. Change the color to a Viz steel color. And we want an offset of 12. I want a 12mm thick plate, and I want it to sit above the concrete slab. So the depth is going to be 12 also. We'll generate that one. And next, I'm going to select this rectangular hollow steel section polygon. So I created that using CAD holes. So that polygon's got holes in it, and we want to make sure we got this checked on, and it'll create a hollow section for us. Okay, so again, I'll use the polygon to get the name of my Trimesh. The steel color is good. We want the Z offset to be 245, and the depth or the length of that section or height to be 233. Okay, we'll generate that. Just going to refresh the view here and see how we're doing. We've got that created, and we'll just start doing the mailbox now. Starting with the bottom of the mailbox. Okay, so I'll change the color to one that best represents the mailbox in the street here. So we got a Viz H caramel, and that's going to be a 278 Z offset with a 33mm depth. Okay, we'll generate that one. Next, we want to do the sides or the box part. So again, I've got a polygon that I created using CAD holes. It's going to be hollow. Okay, and I actually want to put this on a separate model. So we're going to do some work on this one later. Okay, so the height of this one is going to be 1.445. And the depth of it is going to be 1.167. Okay, so we'll generate that one. The last couple of goes at the Trimesh from Polygon, we'll just create the doors for the mailbox. So there's door 1. I'll select it again to get the name of the Trimesh. And we'll put it back into our mesh mailbox model. And I also want to select and match the color from our steel post there. So that one's Viz Steel. Okay, and we want a 1.412 Z offset and a depth or a height of that door of 1.1. Okay, so we'll generate that one. It's going to be much the same for door number 2. Okay, and we'll generate that. Okay, so that's Trimesh from Polygon. Now we'll have a go at creating or using some union difference intersection commands. Okay, so I'll just go over to my other view here and just turn on that mesh 1 that we created. So there's the actual box of the mailbox. What we want to do is use this 1 - 2 command, and we want to select Trimesh 1 as the actual mailbox, and we want Trimesh 2, we want to subtract that away from the mailbox. So Trimesh 2 is going to be door number 1. Okay, so we'll keep the name the same. We'll put this into a different model, and we'll call this model Mesh 2. And we can match the color of that as well. Okay, so we'll process that one. We'll turn off Mesh 1, and we'll turn on, add Mesh 2 to the view, and we can see we've got that door 1 subtracted. Do much the same thing again for subtracting door number 2. Okay, and this time we'll put it back into our overall mesh mailbox model. We'll process that one. Oh, sorry, I need to uncheck that one. Process that one. And there it is. Okay, so we have our mailbox almost complete. We can finish the Boolean unions operation. And we can go to our last option that I want to show you. And that's Trimesh create profile along a string. Okay, so I'm just going to add a model to the view here so we can understand what I'm doing. I've got a string that I created, which is offset from the front of the mailbox, and it's also at the height that I want to run it at. And we've got a profile for the top of the mailbox. So I'm going to run that profile along the string. So we'll select our top polygon there, and we'll select the reference string being this red string up here, and we'll put it all onto our mesh mailbox model, and we'll process that one. Okay, so there's our mailbox. What we can do now is we can write that out as a 12DA file, and we can use it in a future project. And we'll use a 12DA file, mesh mailbox. Okay, we've got that written away, and we can move on to another project and place it. With our mailbox Trimesh saved, we can go ahead and flip over to another project. And from within this project, we can reference that 12DA file to place our mailbox Trimesh. Firstly, we'll just create a copy of this library file in our project directory. So we'll select right there, and we'll insert a new vertex segment type, public infra, set on that one, and we'll insert a new segment type called mailbox. Again, set there, we'll make it active, and we'll right click in the type box, select 12DA file, and we'll left click in the properties, and we'll go to our 12DA file, and we'll choose our mesh mailbox that we created earlier. Set there, and we'll just write that file again, and we can now do a preview. So they look great. We'll minimize that preview, and we'll go about placing our Trimesh. Go to create, BIM objects apply, do a quick parameter file, write that one. Okay, next we come down to our data source box. So I've got a string here that I've created that will tell 12D where to place my Trimesh. It's a 3D string with elevations. So we'll just go to our project folder here and select our library file and read that one. We'll select our infrastructure or public infrastructure vertex types, put it on the mesh mailbox model, we'll clean that model beforehand. Okay, and down here we've got some options for using a tin to drape our Trimesh on. Our string that we selected has levels, so all we need to do is tell it a segment interval. So every 880 millimeters, I want 12D to place a Trimesh, so we use that interval and also the start point. Process that one, and you can see it's placed our Trimeshes. Just have a quick look in the, finish that one, sorry. Have a quick look in the 3D view. There they are, Canada Post mailboxes. So let's take one more look at the Trimesh menu and see what other options there are firstly for creating. Just pin that menu, we'll take a look at the from. So probably one of the most powerful ones is our 12D objects create. So we've got a data source box there and all of these different types of 12D objects to create a Trimesh from. Okay, drainage strings probably being one of the more popular ones. Back into the from, we've got tins, 3D planar polygons, faces. We did a lot of our work with polygons today. Then there's external files for OBJ and FBX. Okay, we can create culvert head walls. So we'll just take a quick look at that. Again, we've got a data source box for selecting your drainage strings, and then there's a dimension table for a couple of the more prominent manufacturers of head walls. And then we've got service chamber. Service chamber many does much the same thing. We'll have a quick look there. So you can create a function and use a view to populate a list of models, and then you got your different shapes, custom shapes, circular, rectangular, and extended. Lastly, we've got solid shapes, so cones, pyramids, that sort of thing, and traffic signals. So again, we're accessing a library file there, placing them. Have a look quickly at some of the other options for editing. So we've got blends, so that's transparency. We can explode, flip faces, split and cut, cookie cutter, split along a string, and then we can color our Trimeshes. So using slopes and aspects to color them. We can also just replace the colors of faces, and we can color the sides as well. Lastly, we've got contouring options, and then we've got all these utilities in here. So you can drape strings on a Trimesh, apply blends, get boundaries, and face normals for checking your tin. So I encourage you all to take a look at those. But today we just did a really quick look at some of the basic options. Thanks for watching this presentation on Trimesh Basics. If you'd like to see more, head on over to the 12D Model YouTube channel. There's loads of information there on Trimesh and BIM in 12D Model. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time at the 2021 12D Tech One.